And now Seth enters and he says, each probability system has its own set of blueprints, clearly defining its freedoms and boundaries, setting forth the most favorable structures capable of fulfillment. These are not inner images of perfection. These are not inner images of perfection. And to some extent, the blueprints themselves change, for the action within any given system of probabilities automatically alters the entire picture, enlarging it. The blueprints are actually more like inner working plans that can be changed with circumstances, but to some extent they are idealizations with a hyphen. With a hyphen. Sometimes, let me just say as an aside here, sometimes Seth gives punctuation. And I'm not sure what the hyphen is referring to because I don't see a hyphen. Continuing now. As any individual, you carry within you such a blueprint. It contains all the information that you required to bring about the most favorable version of yourself in the probable system that you know. These blueprints exist biologically and at every level, psychically, spiritually, mentally. The information is knit into the genes and chromosomes, but it exists apart, and the physical structures merely represent the carriers of the information. In the same fashion, the species en masse holds within its vast inner mind such working plans or blueprints. They exist apart from the physical world and in an inner one. And from this you draw those theories, ideas, civilizations, and technologies which you then physically translate. Platonic thought saw this inner world as perfect. As you think of it, however, perfection always suggests something done and finished, or beyond surpassing, and this, of course, denies the inherent characteristics of creativity, which do indeed always seek to surpass themselves. The Platonic idealized inner world would ultimately result in a dead one, for in it the models of all exteriorizations were seen as already completed, finished, and perfect. Many have seen that inner world as the source for the physical one, but imagined that man's purpose was merely to construct physically those perfect images to the best of his abilities. In that picture, man himself did not help create the inner world or have any hand in its beauty. He could at best try to duplicate it physically, never able, however, to match its perfection in those terms. In such a version of inner-outer reality and the back-and-forth mobility, the give and take between the inner and the outer is ignored. Man, being a part of that inner world by reason of the nature of his own psyche, automatically has a hand in the creation of those blueprints, which at another level he uses as guides. To some extent, great artists not only capture a physical picture of inner idea capitalized, but they also have a hand in creating that idea or inner model to begin with. In your terms, inner world does represent idea potential as yet unrealized. But those ideas and those potentials do not exist outside of consciousness. They are ideals set in the heart of man. Yet in other terms, he is the one who also put them there, out of the deeper knowledge of his being that straddles physical time. Existence is wise and compassionate. So, in certain terms of consciousness, knowing itself as man, sent future extensions of itself out into the time scheme that man would know, and lovingly planted signposts for itself to follow later. I'm going to read that sentence again. I mean, that's really profound, isn't it? Oh my. Okay. Existence is wise and compassionate. So, in terms, consciousness, knowing itself as man, sent future extensions of itself out into the time scheme that man would know, and lovingly planted signposts for itself to follow later. Oh, wow. I don't know if that strikes you as being profound, but wow, that is really something. All right, let's continue now. Give us a moment. Seth says, man is himself made as much of God's stuff as earth stuff. So, in those terms now, the God in himself yearned toward the man in the God and earth experience. Let me read that again. Man is himself made as much of God's stuff as earth stuff. So, in those terms now, the God in himself yearned toward the man in the God and earth experience. Not understanding yourselves, you have tried to put the idea of God outside of yourselves and your living framework. Through various exercises in this book, I hope to acquaint each of you with the inherent oneness of the inside and outside realities, to give you a glimpse of your own infinite nature, even within the bounds of your creaturehood, to help you see the God stuff in the man stuff. In other terms, this can help you see the potentials of your species and break down the barriers of limiting thoughts. I would like to change your ideas of human nature. To some extent, this will entail humanizing your idea of divinity, but oddly enough, if that is done, you will end up seeing the divinity in man. Ideals that before seemed beyond the reach of individuals or of the species will change their character and become working models that can be used effectively and joyfully. And that concludes that session. Wow. Okay. Well, that really makes me look forward to the rest of the book. I hope you're enjoying these short readings, these sessions. Let me know in the comments below if you are. And till soon.